The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 14. Now Joab, the son of Zeruiah, perceived that the king's heart was toward Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa, and fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with oil, but be as the woman that had a long time mourned for the dead. So the translator here, Joab being the one that takes the world and makes the things and like puts on the act and arranges things so it seems this way to a play, deceiving David. And come to the king and speak on this manner unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the woman of Tekoa means trumpet blast, spake to the king, she fell on her face to the ground and did obeisance and said, Help, O king. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and mine husband is dead. And thy handmaid had 2 sons, and they 2 strove together in the field, and there was none to part them, but the one smote the other, and slew him. And behold, the whole family is risen against thine handmaid. And they said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him for the life of his brother whom he slew. And we will destroy the heir also. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder upon the earth. And the king said unto the woman, Go to thine house, and I will give charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, Whosoever saith aught unto thee, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more. And she said, Then said she, I pray thee, let the king remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, As the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of thy son fall to the earth. Then the woman said, Let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word unto my lord the king. And he said, Say on. And the woman said, Wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God? For the king doth speak this thing as one which is faulty, and that the king doth not fetch home again his banished. Did you get that? Right? That's the one that's to charge. It's like there can't be, because there's some that are banished. So we hold the guilt to them. For we must needs die, and are as wilt water spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither doth God respect any person. Yet doth he devise means that his banished be not expelled from him. Now, therefore, that I am, and she's his handmaid, by the way, like grace, right? She is the translator of the divine ordinance of God into creation that orchestrates and arranges everything. The handmaid of God. It's like the Lord's hand, right? The Lord's hand. It's like I saw the Lord's hand and things. I didn't see it when I, you know, whenever, but the Lord's hand in all things. Now therefore, that I am come to speak of this thing unto my Lord the King, it is because the people have made me afraid. And thy handmaid said, I will now speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. Then thine handmaid said, the word of my Lord the King shall now be comfortable. Let me do that again. Then thine handmaid said, all right, then thine handmaid said, the word of my Lord the King shall now be comfortable. For as an angel of God, so is my Lord the King to discern good and bad. Therefore, the Lord thy God will be with thee. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, let my Lord the king now speak. And the king said, is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? And the woman answered and said, as thy soul liveth, my Lord the king, none can turn to the right hand or to left or to the left from aught that my Lord the king hath spoken. For thy servant Joab, he bade me, and he put all these words in the mouth of thine handmaid. So she's saying that all things that the king decided was going to happen, and that Joab came to her because of the direction of the king. All that he said he would do, he did. To fetch about this form of speech hath thy servant Joab done this thing. And my Lord is wise, according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all things that are in the earth. How many things? All things in the earth, like nothing is hidden from his sight. And the king said, well, where is Joab? Where did he all of a sudden come from? So let's look up Joab. I gotta look up Joab, trying to figure out what his name means. Jehovah is Father. Funny you come up to that, right? After I just told you a little while ago about your father, right? And the king said unto Joab, behold, I have done this thing. Go therefore, bring the young man Absalom again. And Joab fell to the ground on his face and bowed himself and thanked the king. With all things give thanks unto the Lord. And Joab said, today thy servant knoweth that I have found grace in thy sight, my Lord, O king, in that the king hath fulfilled the request of his servant. And Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. Geshur. And the king said, let him turn to his own house, and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house and saw not the king's face. But in all Israel there was none to be so much praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. And when he polled his head, for it was at every year's end that he polled it. That's like taking a poll, right? For popularity. The Word of God in the translation into the English and sometimes the connections that's made to it and the understanding of it is the only, how in the world can God, so many years ago before this language was existent, as far as I was told by men, that the Lord would see in that the connection between this word and the Old English connected to a word today in context to what was written and what we're reading. For it was at every year's end that he polled it. It's like, I just want to know how much I'm accepted, right? Every year, it's like, I just want to know. I need to know. I need to know how much I'm polling. I'm taking poll numbers, right? Because the hair was heavy on him. That's its glory, right? And therefore he polled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. So he took the value of, he esteemed himself by the value of his hair. And unto Absalom there were born 3 sons. Whoa, what? I didn't even know he knew anyone, right? And 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of fair countenance. Now, it wasn't Tamar, and I hate to use it, wasn't Tamar the sister of Absalom, who was defiled by Abiab or Amnon, some, what was his name? Which it. Anyways, she was a woman of a fair countenance. So he names his daughter after the sister who was overpowered by. There's a great passage there I want to read with you too. Here's the chapter before this. It's great. All right. And so Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem and saw not the king's face. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab, who to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent again the second time, he would not come. Therefore he said unto his servants, see, Joab's field is near mine, and he hath barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. That made me mad. Joab arose and came to Absalom unto his house, and said unto him, wherefore have thy servants set my field on fire? And Absalom answered Joab, behold, I sent unto thee, saying, come hither, that I may send thee to the king, to say, wherefore am I come from Geshur. Why have I come from Geshur? Geshur means proud beholder. Absalom. Why have I come from him who was, I'm a beholder of him who's proud, right? Pride pride, right? Absalom should be named Pride. It had been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore let me see the king's face. And if there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me. So Joab came to the king and told him. And when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king king kissed Absalom. So here, Absalom pushed the kingdom of heaven, suffered violence, and violent take it by force. That's true. But here, the one who came, the one. There's much to say about Absalom, right? So the one, I mean, the Absalom, and us. It's like we come for a game, right? We come to get something. It's like, I mean, to always. It's like, give, right? We come with our petition to have. To come to the king. We ask petition to come to the king and to force it though. How did Absalom do it? What did he set Joab's field on fire? You ever said anything? I mean, that would get the king's attention. Right? Well, that was a great Bible study. Now, let me go back here. Let's go here. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 13. Way back. All right. And it came to pass after this. This is the chapter beforehand. See? It came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar. I'm going to look at Tamar. Palm tree. Hey, Eli, you know what her name was? Tamar. You got to come here and see this. So, anyways, Absalom, do you know what his sister's name was?
No, I don't.
Tamar. Tamar. That means palm tree.
Yeah.
I thought. Anyway, so you know what Tamar did? This is great. It's perfect. It's actually right. I know I'm right. I know it is right. It's not an accident. It's called palm tree. You know why? Palm tree. Because anyways, so he had a fair sister whose name was Tamar, and Amnon, the son of David, loved her. Amnon means faithful. So Amnon, the son of David, loved her. So David's name is beloved. So Amnon, who's faithful, right, loved Tamar, and Tamar is palm tree, right? And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick of his sister, Tamar, for she was a virgin. Always like untouchable, okay? There's always that, come on, this is life. Is there metaphor here? Is there, allegory here, right? It's whatever thing is not touchable, right? And Amnon, it's really hard. This applies to everyone. It's not just man or woman or you can't. Virgin means not virgin, as in we think of virgin. It means a virgin as in like just cannot. It's not for someone who's not also a virgin, right? Or someone who's not withhold or been right. It's like so. Anyways, Amnon was so vexed that he fell for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin. And Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. Hard. And there you go. There's the word hard. Okay. I am not being sacrilegious. I am going to use every single power by the power of God that when he uses words, it's like really the translation it hits is bullseye. So he says, Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab. Jonadab means, okay, Jehovah is willing. It's like, come on, Jehovah's willing. You with me? Come on, right? So, it's like, he's so subtle, right? In fact, it says that. who he was the son of Shemaiah, David's brother, and Jonadab was a very subtle man. And he said, "Why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day? Will thou not tell me?" And Amnon said unto him, "I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister." So here, the confession or whatever that's put forth, and the fact that why he says, "Why thou being the king's son are sick?" I mean, come on, you got everything. Right, what in the world? In fact, he's going to say, I mean, the king's not going to withhold that, right? But remember, he was subtle than any man, right? He was subtle. You know who else was subtle? In the book of Genesis, chapter 1, I believe, chapter 2, somewhere, where the serpent, who's more subtle than any creature of the earth. Right? So I want you to know the subtle guys. All right. So, anyways, I pray thee, he said, Jonah said unto him, "Lay thee down on thy bed and make thyself sick. And when thy father cometh to thee to see thee, say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come and give me meat and dress the meat in my sight." There's right there the lust, okay? "And that I may see it," right? "And eat it at her hand." It's like she's going to be willing, all right? Come on. And Amnon lay down and made himself sick. Come on. I mean, really, why are you so sick? "And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said unto the king, I pray thee, let Tamar my sister come." Now he calls her his sister. Got that? Right. It was Absalom's sister. "So let my sister come and make me a couple cakes." Ooh, couple cakes in my sight, "that I may eat at her hand." This this right here, and I can't even say exactly the full. I can't even say. It's just not like it would be unlawful to say it. The meaning here, the allegory. All right. Then David, and I mentioned that only for the sake of that. You know, it's funny. It's like we can touch what's holy and not be made dirty, right? It's like, wow, I thought that I had it. You know, I thought that my thoughts were, and you get to say the word wicked, right? And yet I know here I have a pattern here in the scriptures, and the bones are perfectly put together and joint to joint, whereas it's connected the meaning here. "Now go to thy brother Amnon's house and dress him meat." So Tamar went, remember, to her brother Amnon's house. Now it says that it was her brother. All right? And Amnon, remember, what does he mean, Amnon? Amnon means faithful. "And he was laid down, and she took flour and kneaded it, and made cakes in his sight, and did bake the cakes." Wow. What? Phew. She's a keeper, right? "And she took a pan and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, Have out all men from me. And they went out every man from him. And Amnon said unto Tamar, Bring the meat into the chamber, that I may eat of thine hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. She was just totally, what's the word, naive, right? And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her, and said unto her, Come, lie with me, sister, my sister. And she answered him, Nay, my brother, Do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly. And I, whither shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Thou, therefore, I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. So there's the warning of what shall be in the symbolic or the connection between this, the faithful, and the palm tree, right? And he's like, where should I go? And there's going to be a shame that will come out. Now, come on. Do you know this? I know this, right? I know exactly this, right? I mean, but the connection or the ability of it to know exactly the connection there and past events is and to express it in words that are code words is astounding. Now therefore I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. Howbeit he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said unto her, Arise, be gone. And she said unto him, There is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. So the 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 arrangement in the kingdom was such that they could not be joined together by the will of Amnon. But Tamon said, communicate it, just go to the king and he will give me to thee. That's without doing it, right? I mean, really, that's without doing it. So to believe that the Lord will reward you with the one that you really seek, the one you really love, right? The one you really love can be in any one God decides to put that love into, right? And that love, the God is love, right? Trying to connect to the love, right? To find love, finds love, right? But the way in which to obtain, to not obtain, but to receive her as an inheritance, one given by the king, we should ask and ask and ask, and by no means ever take, or to take, because sin has then that which might have been lawful to do under other circumstances is not lawful to do under these other circumstances. You got it? All right, you got it, right? I'm sure the connection there is correct. So here's another sermon about Dad's warning me about sex. All right? Like I do it all the time, right? But I'm not. I'm just reading the Word of God. I'm letting you know what results from having that union before marriage. What we love becomes, the hate will eventually exceed that which we love. Now that doesn't mean that it's a lost cause by any means. That is not. This is what I'm saying. I'm just saying what it leads to every single time. And why do that to ourselves? Why do that? To have the heart to be changed because of taking something that we should not have taken before it's time, in spite of the warnings. So there you go. And that's kind of, I say kind of course, I've Dad, why in the world you got to come up with that again? I mean, make me worry about something, doing anything wrong. No, I'm not trying to worry about anything. I'm just letting you know how important it is. And what can happen if if you let somebody do that to you, right? Or put yourself in such a way that that can happen to you, the the shame that comes it's just inevitable, and it's not something that I would wish on anyone. It's just you know. But Tamara also can turn this around the other way too. I mean, she could have. Well, what could she have done? Right? She so there's take for instance when a boy and a girl come close together, right? And there's a lot of fire, right? That ultimate, really, the overcoming and the passion, right? And the blood, the fire that burns, right? That I could go 3 or 4 different ways with this. Like that burning right there, don't let it burn you up. Don't let it destroy you. Don't let it go out and destroy everything. Right? Turn it to the king. Give it to the king. Express it to him. Trust him in due time to provide. But wait. Always wait till the certainty of him by the well, anyways, I'm gonna say by the certainty that he'll show it in another. I'm not sure how he shows it sometimes. So then he called a servant that ministered unto him and said, "Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her." What happened? What happened? And she had a garment of diverse colors upon her. Or she had like a lot of faces, right? For with such robes were the king's daughters, but that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out and bolted the door after her. That is sad, isn't it? Mm. Oh, that ever happened to you? If it ever does, our door's always open, okay? And Tamar put ashes on her head and rent her garment of diverse colors that was on her, and laid her hand on her head and went on crying. And Absalom her brother said unto her, Hath Amnon thy brother been with thee? But hold now thy peace, my sister. He is thy brother. Regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. But when King David heard of all these things, he was very wroth. And Absalom spake unto his brother Amnon neither good nor bad, for Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced his sister Tamar. See, it's sort of like, I've observed in this world that a lot of people that get involved with that hanky panky stuff before marriage, they they run into somebody who has a lot of pride. Somebody really mean comes along, right? And it came to pass after 2 full years that Absalom had sheep shearers in Baal Hazor. Baal Hazor, that's Lord of the village, and which is beside Ephraim, and Absalom invited all the king's sons. So Baal Hazor is Lord of the village. So this is like the world below, which is beside Ephraim, and Ephraim is double Ashib, I believe, double Ashib, and I shall be doubly fruitful. So it's like meeting in the kingdom of the earth and the kingdom of heaven. Ephraim is like that go-between place, right? The Sabbath. Well, it's not Sabbath, but it's the place by which we, the collection, by which, heaven and earth shall meet. And Absalom invited all the king's sons. And Absalom came to the king and said, Behold now, thy servant hath sheep shearers. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servants go with thy servant. And the king said to Absalom, Nay, my son, let us not all now go, lest we be chargeable unto thee. And he pressed him, howbeit he would not go, but blessed him. That verse right there is, it's like a track stopper. It's like this is like, hold on, I was reading very well here from verse to verse, and I had the history going on here. And then right here it says, and the king said to Absalom, no, so he denied his request. He said no, right? My son, but he still calls him my son. Let us not all now go. As in, let's wait a minute, let's back up, right? Lest we be chargeable unto thee. Now, the chargeable unto thee, honorable unto thee, harden thee. If not, I pray thee that. Okay. Honorable made heavy or great or burdensome to thee, right? So he's like, no, let's not all go, too much to do, right? Too much to make it all happen. Then said Absalom, if not, I pray thee, let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said unto him, why should he go with thee? But Absalom pressed him, that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. So persistence, right? With plans. And Absalom had commanded his servants, now, saying, mark ye now when Amnon's heart is merry with wine. And when I say unto you, smite Amnon, then kill him. Fear not, have not I commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man gat him upon his mule and fled. And it came to pass, while they were in the way, that tidings came to David, saying, Absalom has slain all the king's sons, and there is not one of them left. Then the king arose, and tare his garments, and lay on the earth. And all his servants stood by with their clothes rent. And Jonadab, the son of Shemaiah, David's brother, answered and said, let not my lord suppose that they have slain all the young men, the king's sons. For Amnon only is dead. For by the appointment of Absalom, this hath been determined from the day that he forced his sister Tamar. So there's a determination here. The result is coming directly from an action. The result is determined by what preceded it. Now therefore, let not my lord the king take the thing to his heart, to think that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon only is dead. Now how about that? He just said Amnon only is dead. Like if there's one, isn't that, that is sad enough. Right? Amnon means faithful. Only he was dead. All right, and this has gone on pretty long, right? Long enough. The rest is, good reading. I hate to stop in the middle of a chapter, so to speak, But in the original, there really were no chapters, so to speak, as far as sections. In the writings, it all went together. There was, so here. Mm, mm. Then I go to sleep. Like when the king closes his eyes, right? Therefore, let not my lord the king take the thing to his heart to think that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon only is dead. But Absalom fled, and the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hillside behind him. And Jonadab said unto the king, Behold, the king's sons come, as thy servant said, so it is. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of speaking, that behold, the king's sons came, and lifted up their voice and wept, and the king also and all his servants wept very sore. But Absalom fled, and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, king of Geshur, and David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled, and went to Geshur, and was there 3 years. And the soul of King David longed to go forth unto Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing he was dead. That final part right there is curious, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing he was dead. What's the word comforted? To be sorry, to repent, to regret, comfort, to be comforted. For he was regretful concerning Amnon, seeing he was dead, and the seeing that I think as it so works in us, it's worked in all others. Don't give up hope. As we have hope in everyone. Let's go ahead and keep the hope alive, so that when the time comes, we can be raised up with them, be seated with Christ on high. And I will be back here in a little while. Yes.